Welcome to Reflections on the Masculine Journey with Raith. I'm Raith, and this is where we talk about wisdom, discipline, purpose, honor, and becoming the kind of man life requires. Today's episode is a little different. We're going to step back and look at the first 10 episodes of Masculine Journey Reflections, because these first 10 episodes were not random. They were not just 10 separate conversations. They were a progression. They were building blocks. They were the first section of the masculine journey. We began with Manhood 101 and the question of why manhood matters. Then we asked what modern men are missing. We talked about the need for a code. We talked about discipline before emotion. We talked about truth, honor, and integrity. Then we tied the first 5 lessons together as the foundation. After that, we moved into purpose, responsibility, brotherhood, and wisdom. So today I want to bring those first 10 lessons together and show how they form one larger message. That message is simple. A man is not built by accident. He is built through reflection, structure, responsibility, discipline, brotherhood, wisdom, and repeated alignment with his code. That is the masculine journey, not perfection, not performance, not image, but becoming. The first episode was why I wrote Manhood 101. That episode opened the door. It asked the basic question, why does manhood matter? And the answer was this. Manhood is not automatic. A man is not simply born complete. He is built. He is shaped by choices, hardship, correction, discipline, responsibility, pain, wisdom, and repeated action. Being male is biological. Becoming a man is developmental. There is a difference. A man can grow older and still not mature. He can collect years but not wisdom. He can collect experiences but never reflect on them. He can go through pain and never turn that pain into understanding. That is why reflection matters. Reflection turns experience into instruction. Without reflection, a man can suffer and learn nothing. He can repeat the same mistake for 20 years and call it bad luck. So episode 1 gave us the starting point. The masculine journey begins when a man stops drifting and starts examining himself. He begins to ask, who am I becoming? What am I building? What do my habits prove? What kind of man does life require me to become? That is where the journey begins. Episode 2 asked, what are modern men missing? And the answer was not information. It was not entertainment. It was not technology. It was not more noise. Modern men are surrounded by all of that. What many men are missing is structure. They are missing purpose. They are missing discipline. They are missing brotherhood. They are missing responsibility. They are missing wisdom. They are missing identity. And they are missing a code. Those are not small things. Those are structural things. When a man does not have purpose, he drifts. When he does not have discipline, his appetites start making decisions for him. When he does not have brotherhood, he loses accountability. When he does not accept responsibility, he remains underdeveloped. When he does not have wisdom, he may know a lot, but still make foolish choices. When he does not have identity, he depends on approval. And when he does not have a code, he negotiates his values every time pressure shows up. So episode 2 gave us the diagnosis. Modern men are not just struggling. Many are struggling without structure. And without structure, man fills the emptiness with distraction. But distraction does not build a man. Structure does. Episode 3 gave us one of the central ideas of the series. A man needs a code. But a code is not just a list of nice words. A man's code is his frame statement. It tells him who he is. It tells him what he values. It tells him what he refuses. It tells him what he protects. It tells him how he will conduct himself when pressure arrives. And it projects those values to others through his actions, boundaries, discipline, and consistency. A man's code speaks inward first. It reminds him, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. This is what I will not become. This is what I must protect. This is how I return to center. But a man's code also speaks outward. People learn your code by watching your life. They learn it by watching what you tolerate. They learn it by watching what you excuse. They learn it by watching how you respond when tested. They learn it by watching whether your word carries weight. A man without a code is easily moved by the world. He is moved by emotion, moved by temptation, moved by fear, moved by rejection, moved by flattery, moved by pressure. But a man with a code carries his frame into the world. So episode 3 gave us the framework. A man's code becomes the structure beneath masculine confidence. Episode 4 was discipline before emotion. This episode mattered because a man can have a code, but that code will be tested by emotion. It is easy to say you value truth when the truth costs nothing. It is easy to say you value honor when honor is convenient. It is easy to say you value discipline when life is calm. But what happens when you are angry? What happens when you are afraid? What happens when you are tempted? What happens when you are hurt? What happens when pride wants to speak? That is where discipline must stand before emotion. Now, emotion is not the enemy. A man should be able to feel. He should be able to love. He should be able to grieve. He should be able to recognize anger, fear, sadness, guilt, and desire. But emotion gives information. Discipline chooses action. That is the key. A boy feels and reacts. A man feels, pauses, evaluates, and chooses. That pause is powerful. It is the space between feeling and acting. That space can save a relationship. It can save a reputation. It can save a man from saying something he cannot take back. Discipline before emotion is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming trustworthy with your own power. So episode 4 gave us the internal battle. Emotion must be governed by discipline. Episode 5 gave us the pillars, truth, honor, and integrity. If the code is a man's frame statement, then truth, honor, and integrity are the pillars that hold that frame together. Truth says, I will not be ruled by deception. Honor says, I will not sell my character. Integrity says, I will not divide myself. Truth is where manhood begins because a man cannot correct what he refuses to face. He cannot repair what he will not inspect. He cannot build a strong life on lies. Honor is the weight of a man's name. Can his word be trusted? Can his family rely on him? Can his children see a standard in him? Can his conduct be respected? Integrity means wholeness. It means a man is not one person in public and another in private. It means his values, words, and actions move in the same direction. It means when he fails, he does not build a home in failure. He returns to alignment. Episode 5 reminded us, a man's life is built or broken by what he repeatedly chooses. Tell the truth, protect your honor, live with integrity, become the man that is the standard. Do not simply adopt the standards of others. Episode 6 tied the first 5 lessons together. It showed us that the first 5 episodes created the foundation. Episode 1 gave us the reason. Manhood must be built. Episode 2 gave us the diagnosis. Modern men are missing structure. Episode 3 gave us the framework. A man needs a code. Episode 4 gave us the internal battle. Emotion must be governed by discipline. Episode 5 gave us the pillars. Truth, honor, and integrity hold the code together. That foundation is important because manhood is not built by slogans. It is not built by appearance. It is not built by anger. It is not built by copying another man's image. It is built by alignment. A man must align his thoughts, values, words, actions, emotions, habits, and responsibilities. When those things are divided, the man is divided. When those things are aligned, the man gains strength. That episode gave us a simple process: reflect, correct, build, repeat. That is the foundation of the journey. Episode 7 moved us into the next stage. Purpose gives a man direction. Once a man begins to examine himself and build structure, he has to ask, where am I going? That is the question of purpose. Purpose is not fantasy. Purpose is not just a dream. Purpose is direction. Purpose answers the question, what am I building and why does it matter? A man without purpose drifts. He may have energy but no aim. He may have ambition but no meaning. He may stay busy but never truly move forward. Purpose organizes a man's energy. It tells him what deserves his attention. It tells him what distractions must be refused. It gives discipline a reason. Purpose without discipline becomes a dream. Discipline without purpose becomes empty routine. But purpose with discipline becomes direction. So episode 7 gave us the path. A man without purpose drifts. A man with purpose builds. Episode 8 was responsibility is the weight that builds a man. After purpose, responsibility was the natural next step. Because once a man knows what he is building, he must ask, what am I willing to carry? Purpose without responsibility becomes nothing more than a dream. Responsibility is not the enemy of manhood. It is one of the forces that shapes manhood. A man becomes stronger by carrying what is his to carry. His word, his family, his body, his work, his mind, his mistakes, his repairs, his future, his mission. Responsibility is not the same as blame. Blame is about fault. Responsibility is about ownership. A man may not be responsible for everything that happened to him, but he is responsible for what he does next. That is ownership, and ownership gives a man his agency back. Episode 8 gave us this truth. The weight you avoid becomes the weakness you carry. The weight you accept becomes the strength you build. A boy asks, what do I want? A man asks, what is required of me? That question builds a man. Episode 9 was Brotherhood, why men need other men. After responsibility, we needed to talk about brotherhood, because once a man begins carrying responsibility, he discovers he was not meant to carry everything alone. A man needs purpose, he needs discipline, he needs a code, he needs responsibility, but he also needs brotherhood, not just friendship, not just entertainment, not just men who agree with him. Real brotherhood sharpens a man. It challenges him, it corrects him, it encourages him. It calls him back to the standard when he begins to drift. A man can be surrounded by people and still not have brotherhood. He can have contacts, co-workers, and acquaintances, but no men who really know him. No men who ask, are you becoming the man you say you want to be? Real brotherhood is not weakness. It is wisdom. It gives a man mirrors. Other men can see what he cannot see. They can challenge what he keeps excusing. They can remind him of his code. Episode 9 gave us this truth. A man may walk alone for a season, but he should not build alone forever. Find men who sharpen you. Become a man who sharpens others. Episode 10 was wisdom, turning experience into understanding. This episode reminded us that experience alone does not make a man wise. A man can live a long life and still not become wise. He can have years behind him and still repeat the same mistakes. He can go through pain and never turn that pain into understanding. Wisdom is more than information. Information tells a man what something is. Wisdom teaches him how to live with what he knows. Information can be collected. Wisdom must be developed. A man becomes wise when he reflects, learns, corrects, and applies truth to his life. Wisdom asks, what is this teaching me? What pattern keeps repeating? What did I miss? What must I correct? What pain can I turn into purpose? Wisdom also becomes legacy. A wise man does not keep every lesson to himself. He teaches, he guides, he passes on what life has taught him. Episode 10 gave us this truth. Experience is what happens to a man. Wisdom is what he builds from it. Reflect, learn, correct, teach. Now let's bring the first 10 episodes together. Episode 1 says manhood must be built. Episode 2 says modern men are missing structure. Episode 3 says a man needs a code. Episode 4 says discipline must govern emotion. Episode 5 says truth, honor, and integrity hold the code together. Episode 6 says reflect, correct, build, repeat. Episode 7 says purpose gives a man direction. Episode 8 says responsibility is the weight that builds a man. Episode 9 says brotherhood sharpens the man. Episode 10 says wisdom turns experience into understanding. Together they create a path. A man reflects. He sees what is missing. He builds a code. He governs his emotions. He strengthens his frame with truth, honor, and integrity. He finds purpose. He accepts responsibility. He builds brotherhood. He turns experience into wisdom. That is the masculine journey. It is not about becoming perfect. It is about becoming aligned. It is about becoming useful. It is about becoming steady. It is about becoming a man whose life proves what he claims to believe. But there is a warning here. A man can listen to the first 10 episodes and still not change. He can agree with the words and still avoid the work. He can like the idea of purpose but continue drifting. He can admire discipline but remain ruled by appetite. He can talk about brotherhood but stay isolated. He can value wisdom but never reflect. He can claim a code but abandon it under pressure. That is why the masculine journey cannot remain intellectual. At some point, a man has to act. He has to stop just thinking about change and start making corrections. That may mean having the hard conversation. It may mean stopping the destructive habit. It may mean telling the truth. It may mean apologizing without defending himself. It may mean rebuilding trust one action at a time. It may mean keeping a promise. It may mean setting a boundary. It may mean choosing discipline when emotion wants control. And maybe most importantly, it means he has to stop borrowing other men's standards and start becoming the standard himself. Because a man does not become stronger by admiring strength. He becomes stronger by practicing it. Before we close, I want to give you a practical exercise that pulls the first 10 episodes together. Write this at the top of a page, the first 10 lessons of my masculine journey. Then answer these 10 questions. 1. What kind of man am I becoming? 2. What am I missing most right now? 3. What is my code? 4. What emotion most often pulls me out of frame? 5. Where do I need more truth, honor, or integrity? 6. What correction do I need to make? 7. What am I building, and why does it matter? 8. What responsibility have I been avoiding? 9. Who are the men sharpening me? 10. What lesson has life been trying to teach me? Do not answer these to sound impressive. Answer them to tell the truth. Then choose one action for this week. One correction. One conversation. One habit. One responsibility. One act of discipline. One brother to call. One truth to face. One step toward purpose. That is how a man moves from reflection into construction. Reflect, correct, build, repeat. This has been Masculine Journey Reflections, the first 10 lessons of the masculine journey. I'm Raith, and this is Reflections on the Masculine Journey with Raith. Today we brought together the first 10 episodes of this series. We talked about manhood, structure, code, discipline, truth, honor, integrity, purpose, responsibility, brotherhood, and wisdom. Together, these lessons form the beginning of the masculine journey. A man must examine himself. He must know what is missing. He must build a code. He must govern his emotions. He must live with truth, honor, and integrity. He must find purpose. He must accept responsibility. He must seek brotherhood. He must turn experience into wisdom. And he must keep becoming the man life requires. If this message speaks to you, subscribe to the channel, follow the podcast, and share this episode with another man who is building himself with purpose. Leave a comment with this answer. Which of the first 10 lessons do you need most right now? In the next episode, we move into the next stage of the journey. Identity, becoming the man you claim to be. Until then, remember, manhood is not automatic. A man is built by what he repeatedly chooses. Reflect, correct, build, repeat, and keep becoming the man life requires. I'll see you next time on Reflections on the Masculine Journey with Raith.